with the Fuel Poverty Advisory Group, so this debate about the regressive impact of taxing consumers to fund climate investments for us all has come up a lot there. On the Green Deal, I was pleased to hear that there will be some work done by DEC to oversee accreditation of suppliers. But I think you've got some real challenges around the Green Deal being seen as something for everyone when actually it will only appeal to a certain segment of the market. I can't see many of the landlords that CAB's advise the tenants of caring if it's a G or not. They don't care. And in the past we've had lots of problems with tenants who've desperately needed repairs done to their property or have been eligible for warm fund grant, but actually the landlord won't give consent, is not interested, and if somebody makes a move to get their property improved, they're threatened with eviction. And that's something that we've campaigned on with environmental health officers. So I think let's not pretend about the landlords. Some people need a big stick rather than incentives. Some will come for the incentives, but it would be good to see DEC and CLG do something in the landlord space around improving standards and making sure that happens. But I do have a couple of questions for you. One on Green Deal. I heard a case the other day from an energy efficiency organisation. Actually, it may have been somebody might be from British Gas actually. They'd come across some low-income homeowners whose property was only worth about £40,000, and they'd had some energy efficiency measures installed. That had involved taking away their solid fuel fire and installing some ground source heat pump out the back in the garden, which the replacement cost of which was about 16,000 to 18,000 if it ever broke down. They were totally dependent on this high-tech piece of kit. How it got there, I don't know, but it wasn't a rational investment for them to be able to maintain it. But relative to their property values, it wasn't going to add 20,000 to their property values. It probably brought the property value down because of the risks around the bit of kit. So how do you make sure on Green Deal that people aren't given gold-plated measures add full proportion to the value of the property, because you're asking people to borrow money, not just to get their bills down, but make their property more competitive on the market. Second question is about devolution. Fuel poverty policy has evolved, and we still have grant schemes of varying kinds in Scotland and Wales. And how are those differences being brought to bear on the conversations around Green Deal and how that will operate in conjunction with grant schemes if they continue in those countries? So a couple of specifics around Green Deal and fuel poverty policy that I'm not sure of how that's going to pan out.
Okay, so on the gold plating point, the process typically will start with an assessment, and that has to be an impartial assessment of what's the measures you do in that property, would you like to be green legal, like. My view, the most likely things to be involved in that are pretty straightforward, things like insulation, like replacing heating systems. We have future-proof the bill in the hope that the technology on heat pumps and various other generation devices both sort of improves and costs fall. So over time, as well as boilers being replaced with other boilers, practically replaced by renewable resources, I think it's sensible to think. I'm not personally. I would be surprised if heat pump were able to move quickly enough to actually fit within the golden rule to encourage their development separately. Of course, the government's planning on that, so you're very sure renewable heating system as a separate mechanism. The reason I couldn't pause off that is you time. I think the Green Deal, a lot of neighbours still in the Green Deal, barking got plenty, so there'll be a amount of things that are most appropriate for that project. The devolution point, I suppose I can give a process answer, which is that we've been doing a lot of work with Scotland and Wales. I'm due to go to Scotland in about 4 weeks' time, because there are other parts of the bill that also rely on other action on the strength of the PC framework. I suppose the simple answer, of course, devolution creates a difference. It's meant to, and those grants will no doubt work alongside the Green Deal. There's no reason we can't offer grants to pay for boilers can't pay for part of the cost up front, and then have a smaller amount spread on the bills. It's just part of the mix. The bulk administration wants to offer those. It's perfectly compatible.
It was just on the specific issue of the integration of renewables with the Green Deal, which is one of the things that we think the government got potentially wrong, or maybe I'm outdated and they've sorted it now, is not allowing renewables to be Green Dealable, to be attached to the same package. Now, initially I can understand why the government thought this would be a bad idea, because they would have thought, look, renewables have the small scale microgeneration has its own support mechanisms in the feed-in tariff, and sits with renewable heat incentive, and this is about energy efficiency. And I can understand why they came to that conclusion, but I think that's a really big mistake. And partly I think it's a big mistake because what renewables can do is provide an income stream into the package which can help properties that previously would have been much too expensive to do, on the Green Deal, say properties that require solid wall insulation, properties that work off the gas grid. You can bring in money into that package from the renewable heat incentive or the feed-in tariff to actually cross-subsidise the energy efficiency measures, which is the opposite of one of the criticisms of the renewable heat incentive and feed-in tariff, which is that they somehow divert money away from energy efficiency. Actually, you can use them to help pay for, within the same house, some of those properties which the Green Deal would never be able to pay for, and that would also reduce some of the pressure on the energy company obligation. So I don't know where, that's been running for a while, I don't know where government got to this. I wanted also to ask the question down before we finish, is if you could say a bit more, because it has been discussed quite a lot in the comments about the assessor process and assessors being independent, and issues around fees and who will be able to take fees and who won't be able to take fees for advice, and also who's going to pay for assessments, and if assessments aren't going to be